Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang.
And I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Tonight, Omicron is here and it's spreading fast.
We are going to see large numbers of cases in a short period of time.
Poised to overtake Delta, officials warn a wave of infections is coming, fueled by the holidays.
It's kind of like a perfect storm.
New restrictions as some hospitals are already on the brink. What can you do to prepare?
Also tonight, an admission of failure as a crisis rages in the ranks.
Your government did not protect you.
This time, we will not fail.
What this moment means for survivors of sexual harassment and assault in the military. And we ask the minister in charge, what next?
Plus, the Taliban tried to silence them, but they got out.
The most beautiful day of my life.
The orchestrated effort to fly Afghanistan's national musicians to safety. This is The National. For more than 2 weeks, the world has been hungry for details, hard data on the newest variant of concern, Omicron. Tonight, we have some, and it paints a worrying picture.
It's from Ontario and shows Omicron spreading at lightning speed, about to become the dominant strain. And with Christmas right around the corner, there is a scramble to slow it down. 2 provinces are tightening restrictions, one Ontario city limiting gatherings to just 5 people, and the UK, which often serves as a warning for Canada, is predicting a tidal wave of cases. Tonight, we'll walk you step by step through the science and the consequences with the scientific director of Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table, Dr. Peter Jüni, by our side.
But let's begin with that data. The first time we're getting a real sense of how easily Omicron is spreading inside this country. Christine Birak explains where things stand now and how quickly that could all change.
The Omicron variant is not just picking up speed in Ontario, it's poised to overtake Delta within days.
Once that happens, it's going to spread really quickly. We are going to see large numbers of cases.
Here's why. Each person infected with Delta right now is infecting roughly one other person. But the latest Ontario data shows for Omicron, that reproductive number is 4, which means a small number of infections can quickly lead to a tsunami of cases.
It's kind of like a perfect storm. You have a population that's inadequately immune, and they all want to gather. And, health systems could be hit very severely by this.
Most Canadians are heading into the holidays with 2 vaccine doses. Early studies show 2 doses likely prevent severe disease. But another early study out of the UK suggests Omicron will likely lead to increased breakthrough infections in previously infected or double vaccinated individuals.
The government of Ontario has let us down.
Ontario opened up 3rd dose bookings for those over 50 today. 18 plus will be eligible in January. Some doctors insist that's too late.
It's outrageous that everyone always has to wait weeks to be able to register, and then there's this kind of mad rush and hunt.
So what we're seeing in Ontario, I expect to be seen in other areas of the country, as has been seen in Europe and other areas of the world.
Manitoba is asking the federal government to send ICU nurses to deal with patients still sick from Delta. In Quebec and other provinces, frontline doctors now fear the worst is yet to come.
So you have a huge sudden increase, then you risk overwhelming hospitals, and we've seen that several times in different parts of Canada.
While the threat from Omicron is growing by the day, public health officials insist Canadians can still keep this virus in check by shrinking their holiday gatherings. Get that 3rd shot if you're eligible, and if you have access to rapid tests, start using them. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
And so let's bring in Dr. Peter Jüni, Scientific Director of Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table. Dr. Jüni, we know your group just published this information just this morning. With Omicron increasing so rapidly, what is concerning you the most?
I think first it's that we underestimate it. There are still people out there who say it's a mild disease. That's not true. That's a myth. This came from South Africa. The average age there is 27 and 90% experience an infection, meaning a large amount of the population there is immune. Not the case here. We still have 20% not vaccinated, not immune.
The first point that you hit on there, Dr. Jüni, about the severity of Omicron. Where are we at now, all these weeks after discovery, on understanding whether it does or doesn't result in a milder form of COVID?
Right now, the best data we have comes just from Denmark as of today, and it shows that after infection, the risk of hospitalization appears to be the same as with earlier variants. So there we are, with the second concern, which is if we're not careful now and if we don't react swiftly, our healthcare system can get overwhelmed with hospital admissions and ICU admissions.
Okay, Dr. Juni, we do have more questions for you, so don't go anywhere.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the new measures brought in across the country just today. Nova Scotia and New Brunswick confirmed their first cases of the Omicron variant today as they announced brand new restrictions.
We've been here before, and what worked in the past will work again. That means people using common sense, but it also requires some government guidance.
And so starting Friday, informal gatherings in Nova Scotia will be limited to 20 people, and places like malls and recreation facilities will have to ensure physical distancing. Many New Brunswick kids will start the winter break early, and sports for those under 12 are now suspended. The city of Kingston, Ontario is tightening restrictions even further as an outbreak there grows. As Thomas Daigle explains, some warn with Omicron spreading, the situation there could quickly become the situation everywhere else.
Kingston's streets are a little quieter. The hopes for the holidays a bit dimmed after a spike in COVID cases, most of them the new variant, and with new restrictions now in effect.
A little bit disillusioning given how well we were doing and how well the vaccination rate's been going.
The idea of going into further lockdowns or having further restrictions is, daunting.
The public health unit is imposing a 5-person limit on indoor and outdoor gatherings. Restaurants must now close for dining by 10 p.m. and stop selling liquor by 9, and no more than 4 people can sit at a table together. The new measures coming in direct response to the quick spread of Omicron.
We have seen an unprecedented rise in cases, and over the past several days, we've seen a significant rise in cases of the new variant Omicron.
The Kingston area was once a beacon of hope with relatively few COVID cases and not a single death linked to the virus in 2020. Sean Billing spent a year renovating a new boutique hotel in Kingston. Now, after a busy summer and fall, bookings have dried up.
We're down to nothing left in terms of holiday events or Christmas parties where we would have had upwards of a dozen to 15 of them.
Queen's University has canceled in-person exams. The Kingston General Hospital is dealing with a surge of critically ill COVID patients surviving on ventilators.
This virus
and this expert has a warning for the rest of Ontario.
We've really been the vanguard in a way for the province. So what we've noticed here, the province is going to see, and probably well within 1 week.
The new restrictions are only supposed to last for a week, so there's no telling what measures could be in effect for Christmas as Omicron keeps spreading faster. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Kingston, Ontario.
Well, in the UK, a scramble is on to stop Omicron's rapid spread, starting with a push to get booster shots in arms before Christmas. And as Chris Brown explains, what's happening there now could give us a better picture of what's in store for Canada.
With what Britain's Prime Minister calls a tidal wave of the Omicron variant now sweeping the country, people formed long lines to get booster shots.
You want to go home for Christmas and make sure you get it as soon as possible, so quite happy to wait.
It's just easier for us and for people we live with, especially our parents, our grandparents, so it just makes sense for us to wait in the queue.
Boris Johnson has vowed to give everyone a chance to get boosted before the end of the year.
Omicron is producing hospitalizations, and sadly at least one patient has now been confirmed to have died with Omicron.
Britain has already given out more than 23 million third doses, more than any other country in Europe. But to get boosters into everyone left who's eligible will require a huge pace of 1 million vaccinations every day until the end of the year. Whether that's actually possible, health administrators are non-committal. Some non-life-threatening care will be postponed, and the military is helping coordinate. On this first day, the online booking site was overwhelmed.
Our projections are showing anywhere from 25,000 to 75,000 potential deaths over the next 5 months due to this new wave of infection.
Canadian Dr. Nick Davies co-authored the Omicron modeling study that's generated so much anxiety here. He says Canadians should pay attention too.
I do think these results are applicable to Canada, but I think the situation in the UK is such that we're probably a week or two ahead of at least of most other countries in a similar situation to us.
But it's on all of us to pick up, to step up.
Politically, Britain's Conservatives have been pummeled by COVID, first appearing to ignore their own rules by holding Christmas office gatherings, and now facing a backbench revolt over new Omicron restrictions. More masking and working from home kicked in today, which at least appeared to cut down on traffic at London's tube stations. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
So let's bring in Dr. Peter Jüni again. Dr. Jüni, a warning for Canada there at the end of Chris's piece. If all the premiers were sitting here watching this tonight, and they may very well be doing just that, what precisely would you be advising them to do right now?
Give not only guidance, but also requirements to decrease contacts. Means we need capacity limits in restaurants, gyms, bars, etc. Again, we need consistent masking. We can't have the full sports arenas anymore. Everybody needs to drop foods and drinks there and really mask up. And we need to make sure that also privately, we just have small gatherings. That's a requirement. That's the structural part. And then, of course, people can help.
The one thing I didn't hear you say is lockdown there. Might we all be heading into another lockdown?
Look, I hope not, and the point is just people are very tired, So we also need to be aware of there are higher risk and lower risk situations. Outdoors is better. Retail is much less of an issue than restaurants, etc. And we just need to take that into account. Fingers crossed we can do without, but it's challenging.
And you talk about risk, Dr. Jüni. I mean, the holiday season upon us, right? Less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. Should all those gatherings that folks are planning be downsized, canceled outright? What's the guidance?
I think absolutely minimum. Just do what you think is really needed so that you also feel okay, but don't do large gatherings. You need to gain time until your booster is coming. This will take a while, and we just need to make sure that we just keep contacts as low as we can. Keep it just intimate, skip the parties, etc., skip crowded restaurants. None of that applies right now. It's too challenging.
Okay, Dr. Jüni, so good of you to make the time to join us. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
It's Dr. Peter Jüni, Scientific Director of Ontario's Science Advisory Table. Well, now to the historic apologies offered today to victims of sexual misconduct in the military. From the highest positions of power, 3 officials said Canada failed to protect those people and then ignored their cries for help.
So there's no way to measure the harm done, but nearly 19,000 complainants have filed submissions to a class action suit for victims. So far, nearly $1 billion of government money has been set aside to make up for needless pain. Ashley Burke spoke with some who've waited so long for this day.
We are sorry. I am sorry.
A historic apology Dawn McAmoyle has waited nearly 3 decades to hear.
Countless lives have been harmed because of inaction and systemic failure.
Top officials admitted the government and military failed for years to listen to cries for help, acknowledge wrongdoing, and act.
To those who came forward and were told to be quiet, to not rock the boat, to think of your career, or to prioritize the career of the person who harmed you, we are sorry.
We did not consistently and adequately hold such persons to account. In some cases, we permitted them to move to a different job, to do different damage, and to perpetuate the cycle of toxicity and harm elsewhere.
Calls for help ignored.
McAmoyle knows that all too well. She was among the first to go public decades ago about the crisis in the military, after she reported she had been raped by a fellow sailor in 1992. McAmoyle said she was blamed and drummed out of the military.
I am hoping that it is a historical moment of change, and from this moment on, they're true to their word and that change does happen.
That hope shared by others watching today.
You apologize. Now fix it. Persisted for too long.
Retired Major Carly Arkell says her report of sexual assault never led to charges.
The military doesn't apologize, so for them to say I'm sorry, that I felt like there was some tension that was released, and I kind of and let out a big sigh when they said that.
Major Donna Rigadel says she's leaving the military after being repeatedly sexually assaulted and then bullied by her chain of command. She's been training military members to properly support survivors.
But now what? Because an apology without anything behind it, then that just to me means we're going to be facing this again in another year or two and doing this all over again. And I don't want to do that.
So Ashley, after all of today's apologies, what now?
Adrian, the minister said that the government will soon lay out in detail what it plans to do. As for the woman that I spoke to, they told me that no matter what was said today, it doesn't make up for what happened to them. But they said it's up to them to move forward, showing strength and hope after all this trauma.
All right, Ashley, thank you for all your reporting on this.
Thank you.
A little bit later on The National, we will put questions to Defense Minister Anita Anand, and we will speak with an expert on military issues on what needs to happen next.
Well, across the U.S. Midwest today, the cleanup continued after those devastating tornadoes swept through Friday night. At least 74 people are dead in Kentucky. As many as 100 people may have been killed in total. For now, the search continues for the missing through piles of debris. Katie Simpson is in Dawson Springs, Kentucky tonight, where as many as 75% of homes were destroyed.
To find something recognizable in this pile of debris seems impossible.
Bible. Yeah. Oh, there's pictures in it too.
A family heirloom brings a moment of comfort, a brief distraction, a reminder of happy memories.
Look at here, Mom's purse.
That's her one she was carrying.
Yes.
Yay. Thank the Lord. Another discovery sharply brings this family back to reality.
Gosh, I got her that purse last Christmas.
Raw grief, the loss of their mother. Her son clings to her purse as if he were holding on to her. And so begins the painful path toward healing. Almost all of Dawson Springs has been destroyed. Search crews went from rubble pile to rubble pile looking for signs of life. Properties are spray painted, either with markings showing families are accounted for or that victims' bodies have been removed.
I'm an Army vet, and I've seen some stuff like this, but I haven't seen stuff like this.
Search and rescue operations continue across Kentucky, including at that collapsed candle factory. More than 70 people in the state are confirmed dead.
Of the ones that we know, the age range is 5 months to 86 years, and 6 are younger than 18.
These communities, so deeply scarred, may never be rebuilt. Sally Hicks is salvaging what she can from her home, trying to keep busy.
I just saw this. That's a picture of my mom and dad. I hadn't noticed it. That's my dad. Sorry. But I don't know where that came from.
Moving on will be difficult here. A large part of this community is poor. The little people had, they lost. The unfairness of it all cuts even deeper, as so many don't know what to do next. The magnitude of the damage here, when you look at it in person, it's almost unbelievable. If communities rebuild, that process is going to take years. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Dawson Springs, Kentucky.
Well, the spread of the Omicron variant is making vaccinations even more critical. But in one part of Alberta, many are refusing.
You can't educate someone who isn't going to listen to what you say.
Coming up, we head to the spot with one of the country's lowest vaccination rates. Plus,
the international effort to get musicians under fire out of Afghanistan.
The most beautiful day of my life.
And a stranger answers the call and provides a moment of connection to a woman in palliative care.
She'll never know what it meant to us. So thank you, Stephanie.
We're back in 2. Well, the federal government has announced a new 5-year mandate for the Bank of Canada, instructing it to hold the annual inflation rate between 1% and 3%. That's a continuation of a long-standing policy, but the new deal also gives the bank added flexibility to consider the job market when setting its key rate, which the bank has said it does not anticipate raising until at least April of next year. New Brunswick is the latest province to sign on to the federal government's $10 a day childcare plan. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made the announcement with New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs this morning. Higgs says the program will create thousands of new childcare spaces in the province. So far, 9 provinces have signed on to that federal plan. Now, the federal government is setting aside $40 billion to compensate First Nations children harmed by Ottawa's underfunding of family services on reserves. But as Olivia Stefanovic explains, it all depends on whether negotiations now can end a 14-year-old legal battle.
All I wanted was the best for my children, and we didn't get that.
Zacchaeus Trout's children, Shanae and Jacob, both died from a rare neurological disorder called Badden's disease before they turned 10.
And I still cry every now and then about it. Because I strongly believe in my heart that the system has failed us.
Trout says health officials only gave his family 6 syringes a month. His daughter required 6 injections a day.
Same with the feeding tubes, that they only gave us 2 bags per month to use 4 times a day.
Trout is one of tens of thousands of First Nations people who may soon be eligible for compensation from the federal government.
This is 30 years of the cost of failure, and that cost is high.
The government is putting aside $40 billion to settle lawsuits like Trout's, as well as a Canadian Human Rights Tribunal order. It demands Ottawa pay $40,000 to each First Nations child who attended the on-reserve child welfare system, along with their parent or grandparent.
It shows that there was harm done and that we have to try and find a path forward.
The money is part of a proposal to end a 14-year legal battle. Negotiators are hopeful. The money will also be used for big reform projects focused on ending discrimination.
If we can stop it, it'll be the first time since Confederation that a generation of First Nations kids don't have to grow up spending their whole childhood trying to be treated equally.
The government is still appealing a federal court decision to uphold the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal order. Both sides could be back in court if a final agreement isn't reached by deadline, the end of the month. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
An Indigenous family from a reserve straddling the Ontario-Manitoba border is raising concerns about the care their son received at a Kenora hospital. He died at home after being discharged. As Logan Turner shows us, they worry he wasn't taken seriously because he was Indigenous.
Brent Sky's family says he was the kind of guy everyone wanted to be around.
My son Brent right there.
A doting father, a powwow dancer, and a hockey player.
When he was a kid, he used to score like 10 goals a game.
For Halloween every year?
Yeah.
In late October, the 32-year-old had a headache so bad it affected his vision. Paramedics were called and he was taken to the Lake of the Woods District Hospital in Kenora, 100 kilometers away. But the family says a few hours later, Sky was discharged while he was still in severe pain. The next day, his father went to check on him and found him dead.
Because I seen him lying there motionless, and I just started yelling, no, don't take my son. I said, no. As I got to him, I knew it.
The family says Sky died of a brain bleed. They claim his symptoms were not taken seriously by the hospital because he was Indigenous, although they have no evidence. Similar concerns are being made in another First Nation.
They kept sending me home.
Chrissy Isaac says she only had an emergency surgery she needed after refusing to leave the Kenora ER. She says she no longer trusts that hospital.
I feel like if I was in a life or death situation, I'd go to Winnipeg.
This doctor is concerned the issue isn't being tracked.
These stories are really common, and they're heartbreaking stories, they're devastating stories, but they occur every day in hospitals across the country.
In Kenora, the hospital is still investigating Brent Sky's death, but its president acknowledged other situations.
There are cases of racism here that I'm aware of.
He went on to say clinical decisions were not affected and the hospital is working to change.
We have lots of work to do to build trust, and actions will speak as we go forward.
As for Brent Sky's family, they're asking other Indigenous people to speak up.
We're not the first family that this has happened to. Probably won't be the last, but at least the person next door is going to know that it's okay to say something.
And they're hoping that can help affect change. Logan Turner, CBC News, Shoal Lake 40, Ontario.
Well, we want to take you back to one of the big stories today, the government's apology to survivors of sexual misconduct in the military. Minister Anita Anand sat down with us tonight to explain the path forward.
This is not going to be fixed overnight.
Measuring the weight of the apology and next steps in solving a long-standing problem. Our conversation with the Defense Minister next.
Welcome back. We want to focus in on today's landmark apologies to members of the Armed Forces and Defense Department staff who have suffered through sexual misconduct on the job. In a moment, I'll speak with a woman who has studied this issue inside and out. She has practical advice for making good on these apologies.
But first, I'll put some questions to the Minister of National Defense, Anita Anand. She began the apology. Here's some of what she had to say.
I apologize to the thousands of Canadians who were harmed because your government did not protect you.
Now, there's a lot more to look at than what was said at today's official apology, so we're spending the next few minutes looking for answers. And so we have, joining us now, Canada's Minister of Defense, Anita Anand. Minister, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Can I start with the simple fact that it was you who delivered this apology on the government's behalf? Wouldn't it have carried more weight if it was the Prime Minister apologizing?
Well, Andrew, I am the Minister of National Defense, and as the individual who has responsibility relating to the Canadian Armed Forces, it is wholly appropriate for me to be the one who delivers this apology. The Prime Minister is fully supportive of the apology and indeed cares very deeply about sexual misconduct and sexual harassment in the Canadian military. He and I have been working on this file together, and I will continue to be determined in the efforts and the approaches that we are implementing from time immemorial.
You know, we've heard from survivors that this isn't just about sexual assault. It's about changing the culture of inclusion within the military. So starting today, I mean, post-apology, what's the next step?
Well, let's be clear that the apology is one important step, but we have been working very hard, even before today, to ensure that there is a change in the culture of the Canadian military, as well as the Department of National Defense. For example, in Budget 2021, our government committed $236 million. Part of that is going to ensure that the Sexual Misconduct Response Center, led by Dr. Preston, has expanded resources. In addition, we will see the implementation of the Victims' Bill of Rights in 2022. And we also have Jenny Carignan working on professional conduct resources to ensure that those resources are in place for the Canadian Armed Forces.
When you talk about things like adding new rules or resources, I mean, does any of that actually go the distance in addressing the culture problem within the military? Because when you look at the number of people who filed complaints, just in the class action lawsuit, nearly 19,000 people, I mean, that number tells me more than just about a culture problem within the military. It's a culture crisis. I mean, what does that number tell you?
Well, it was 2015 when Madame Justice Deschamps indicated that there is a culture crisis in the Canadian military. So the number of 19,000 is high, but I agree with you, it does not reflect the overall cultural crisis in the Canadian military, and that's why the reforms that we are undertaking, some of which I have mentioned here, are so very important. This is not going to be fixed overnight. This is a process that we are undertaking, recognizing the importance and the gravity of the task, but understanding that there is no silver bullet to ensure that an overnight change occurs.
Minister, I have time just for one last question. When it comes to the transfer of cases of sexual misconduct from the military to civilian courts, I mean, you made that announcement just over a month ago. Has any case actually been transferred yet?
Andrew, I met with the Director of Military Prosecutions and the Provost Marshal who are overseeing the transfer of cases, and they are coordinating with their provincial and territorial counterparts to ensure that the transfer of cases occurs in the new year.
Okay, Minister, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it once again.
Thank you. Take care.
And so here to explain the significance of this apology is Megan McKenzie, a professor at Simon Fraser University, a military culture specialist who I know has been following every terrible spasm of the story from the beginning. Thank you for joining us. I know you just heard the minister's interview, but you heard her apology, and I'm curious, in all that you heard today, what's missing?
Well, I'm really grateful to hear the apology. I think it's an important acknowledgement. I do think it's an important step forward. One thing that I thought was missing was a focus on the responsibility of the Department of Defense and the CAF in terms of ensuring that perpetrators weren't in the system. So there was a lot of focus on a lack of trust and on the long-term harms for victims, and I think that's so important to acknowledge that. I think some of the language around, a scourge or a negative culture kind of evades the fact that this is an institution where perpetrators had very successful careers. And that's a difficult reality that really requires an apology, that it's not just that that victims weren't protected, but really that this was a workplace where perpetrators succeeded and thrived. And in some cases, we see rose to senior ranks. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more attention to perpetrators and moving forward to how perpetrators will be dealt with.
And so in terms of the apology itself, what do you read into Prime Minister Trudeau not being the one to do it?
I mean, I agree with what the minister said, that she is the minister who's going to have to be actioning the way forward. And so I do think it makes sense to have her deliver this apology. I think it's important that we heard from the Prime Minister today. I think it would have been meaningful to have him join her today. But I also accept that she's the minister in charge of this portfolio.
Okay, as we step back a bit, part of what's fascinating about you is that you're leading this international study into sexual misconduct in several forces. So you have a sense of other militaries, and I'm curious, how unusual is Canada's crisis?
Well, what's unfortunate about the international context is that there is a very regular pattern of scandal and increased media attention, either because of a single high-profile case or a series of high-profile cases. And we see this over the past 3 decades. And so there's often an increased media attention, increased public concern, and some renewed commitments to change. And then often attention dies away and very little changes in between scandals. What's unusual about what's happening in Canada at the moment is the number of senior leaders embroiled in the scandals and the number of senior leaders who face allegations of misconduct. So that is very unprecedented. And I think it's also in the international context of sort of the Me Too movement and global conversations about sexual misconduct and workplace culture.
Professor Megan McKenzie, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And next on The National, Canada has one of the highest vaccination rates in the world, but in one part of Alberta, it's a different story.
It's not fun wearing a mask when you know there's such anti-mask sentiment.
We'll speak with folks in a town where the majority is refusing the shot. Stay with us. Welcome back. As we learn more about how quickly the Omicron variant spreads, the focus turns to the tools we have to protect ourselves and the danger for those still left without any protection. In Alberta, 84% of the eligible population has received 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine. But in one northwestern hamlet, 700 kilometers north of Edmonton, less than a third of people have rolled up their sleeves. Paige Parsons takes us there.
Far from many urban centers, life in Northwest Alberta moves at a different pace. In the town of Lacrete, it's like the pandemic doesn't exist. Provincial public health rules like masking, capacity limits, and proof of vaccine requirements are often ignored. With only 29.6% of its total population fully immunized, the area has Alberta's lowest vaccine rate, and one of the lowest in the country, creating a dilemma for those who take the pandemic seriously. For Daniel Wall, being self-sufficient is more important than ever now.
I hate town trips. It's not fun wearing a mask when you know there's such anti-mask sentiment in the whole area.
Like many of their neighbors, Wall and his family are Mennonites. Getting immunized and following public health rules has isolated them from their tight-knit community.
We essentially stopped going to church because the pandemic restrictions were that they were limited to a certain size, and none of the local churches that we know of were respecting that.
Wall says he trusts information from health officials, but most of his friends and relatives do not.
Re-education will not be possible until people start doubting the conspiracy theorists. You know, it's who you trust. You can't educate someone who isn't going to listen to what you say.
Lacrete and its surrounding region in northwest Alberta has been hit hard by COVID. Since March 2020, there have been 3,300 cases in a population of roughly 25,000 people. More than 50 people have died of COVID-19. Down the highway in Fort Vermilion, a different viewpoint.
The Peace River on my backdrop is the lifeblood of this country.
Despite widespread evidence the vaccine is safe, farmer Danny Friesen has doubts.
There's lots of conspiracy theories, and I don't believe all of them. I don't think it's as bad as they say it is, but I think we need to be more honest that there are side effects. People have died of COVID, and people have had side effects from the vaccine.
Like others with unfounded concerns here, Friesen became even more skeptical when Alberta offered a $100 incentive to get immunized.
If they're paying you to take a shot, something doesn't quite add up.
Across the Peace River, this First Nation has tight COVID controls. So too the nearby town, which is a hub for industry in the area. Masking and checking for proof of vaccine is more common in High Level. Out-of-town workers are helping to keep hotels and restaurants afloat. But the introduction of the vaccine passport in the fall saw business from local customers dry up.
Locally and local traffic and demand really diminished due to low vaccination rates in our area.
But there are signs that may be changing. The immunization rate jumped nearly 10% between mid-November and early December. This pharmacist says the introduction of a vaccine passport did get more people in the door.
It's steady because whatever government is doing seems like working. People are getting for a vaccination.
Back near Lacrete, Daniel Wall is struggling over what to do. With most of his family's social circle still unvaccinated, he says following the public health rules around gatherings is isolating.
If it keeps extending longer and longer, then at some point we're also humans. We have social needs.
A man conflicted, but for now at least, still following COVID rules. Paige Parsons, CBC News, Lacrete, Alberta.
After the break, the Afghan orchestra was silenced when the Taliban took over. Tonight, the music lives.
I'll be welcoming them in their new home.
Their story of perseverance, next. That is Afghanistan's all-female orchestra, dazzling an audience at Davos in Switzerland a few years back. A triumphant moment for a group that has endured so much. So a few months ago, we told you how the Taliban had tried to silence them. Their Afghan National Institute of Music closed, instruments hidden, students trapped and scared. Well, tonight, some very good news. Earlier today, a charter plane landed in Lisbon, Portugal, carrying 275 members of the school, faculty and families. Portugal has opened its doors. The school is starting again, and the music goes on. Now that the plane has landed, they have their wings. Lisbon, Portugal will be the brand new home of the Afghan National Institute of Music.
I'm very happy.
Fresh from a charter flight offered to them, all the remaining students, staff, some families now finally safe, their beloved instruments in tow. The man with the extraordinary smile, Ahmad Sarmas, the founder of the school. A man whose heart sank when the Taliban swarmed and took over his treasured school in August. He vowed to save it and its students and didn't stop working until he succeeded.
I'm extremely excited. I'm extremely moved. The most beautiful day of my life. My children, who are like my own kids, I'll be welcoming them in their new home.
What he always wanted was for the world to hear them. Davos, Switzerland in 2017, and Zora, Afghanistan's first all-women's orchestra. The percussionist right there, her name is Shigofa. As hard as it was to leave her dad and family, she told us before the flight to Portugal that leaving was her only option.
I told them that there's just only reason I have to leave country because my life is in danger. And after that, and I said to them that I want to continue my music and my life is not safe.
In time, those remaining families may reunite in Portugal, and that new school will also become an Afghan art center and voice for the nation. The moment is heady. And from a student who left Afghanistan just a few months ago, is now studying in the US, some gentle advice for her friends. Be kind to themselves.
They don't know when they're gonna see their families again, which is like a really big deal for them. But then my advice is that they're not alone.
It was donors from around the world who paved the way for this. Portugal that opened the doors, and they hope one day Afghanistan that will ultimately benefit from the music and the love of those who've left it but will never abandon it.
So a huge relief for the musicians there. And why Portugal?
Well, it's interesting. They did a concert there in 2018. A relationship started, and then when Ahmed Sarmas started looking, urgently for people to help, Portugal was very fast and very welcoming. Canada was on his list, but as we all know, the process was cumbersome. He needed this done quickly, and Portugal said, "We are here. The doors are open, and you're welcome."
And the rest is history.
Indeed.
Okay. Nominations for the 79th Golden Globe Awards were announced today.
Your buddy from Belfast, where everybody knows you.
Hey, buddy! Your mom's calling you. Yes!
Leading the pack are films Belfast and The Power of the Dog. Each received 7 nods, including one for Best Drama. But the nominations come amid widespread criticism over a lack of diversity within the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. That's the group behind the event. NBC has dropped its broadcast of the usually star-studded show, and it remains unclear if nominees will actually attend the ceremony. Well, when we come back, a small gesture of kindness that meant the world for a grieving family.
She'll never know what it meant to us. So thank you, Stephanie.
Our moment is next. Margot Cran died this weekend in palliative care in St. John's. But just before she passed, she and her family were given a gift by a total stranger. Margot loved looking her best, and she wanted her nails done. So her family took a chance and reached out on Facebook looking for someone to help. Seconds later, they got a message. What happened next is our moment.
Even though Mom is a fisherman and she's from Petty Harbour, she's a true harbour dog, rough and tough, but she's always looked her best.
When I went in, honestly, I opened the door and I felt like I was walking into my family.
She pampered her, gave her the full treatment, and when she was done, Mom, she looked at her nails and she thought they were beautiful, and she said, "How much do I owe you?" And Stephanie leaned in, actually the picture shows us, leaned in and held her hand, and she said, "Not a penny."
For me, it was an extra special appointment.
It might seem like Stephanie keeps saying that she don't see what the big deal is. Like, to her, it isn't a big deal, and it might seem in the big scheme of things like a small gesture to do someone's nails, but in a situation where all control has been taken from us and from our mom, it was one thing that we could still do for her, that we could give her, that she wanted, and to us, she'll never know what it meant to us. So thank you, Stephanie. You'll forever be a part of our family.
Well, that's a beautiful story. And I mean, she makes the point, right? It's not really about the nails. I mean, what was normally a 1-hour appointment was 3 hours of talking, of laughing, of conversation, of happiness.
And they insisted on paying Stephanie. Of course, she said she didn't want the money, but in the spirit of doing the right thing, for the sake of doing the right thing, she bought groceries, donated them to the food bank in Margot's name. That is a national for December the 13th. Good night.
Good night.